The world will note that the first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. We won the race of discovery against the Germans. We have used it in order to shorten the agony of war, in order to save the lives of thousands and thousands of young Americans. We shall continue to use it until we completely destroy Japan's power to make war.
These were the words of President Truman after the U.S. deployed the first atomic bomb ever to be dropped as an act of war. Japan still suffered more until the end of World War II. The power of a new type of bomb used radioactive elements to create mass destruction. This bomb, so powerful it killed hundreds of thousands of people, and the aftermath is still seen today. After billions of dollars, years and years of research, and a whole program dedicated to it, the new weapon was called the atomic bomb. The United States' use of the atom bomb during World War II caused drastic reactions. The so-called nuclear race was on. As time passed, more and more countries wanted nuclear weapons in their hands. Research began, production began, and testing began. On August 6, 1945, the U.S. deployed the first ever atom bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, an industrial and military city. These bombs were created after research of many scientists across the U.S. and into Canada in a project known as the Manhattan Project. When the bomb exploded, hundreds of thousands instantly died from the ferocious explosion. Thousands more died from long-term effects. The Japanese government reacted with a meeting and came to a conclusion that Japan couldn't surrender yet, even though that thousands more might die. Truman's thoughts, along with many others, were that the bomb would end the war quicker. The U.S. gave plenty of warning in advance before the bombing. After Hiroshima, Truman said, "The British, Chinese, and United States governments have given the Japanese people adequate warning of what is in store for them. We have laid down the general terms on which they can surrender. Our warning went unheeded, our terms rejected. Since then, the Japanese people have seen what our atomic bomb can do. They can foresee what it will do in the future." Sure enough, on August 9th, the U.S. used another atomic bomb known as the Fat Man. The target was Kokura. When clouds covered up the city, Captain Sweeney moved on to his other target, Nagasaki. They were told if they could not bomb the city for any reason, to move on to the secondary target. Low on fuel, they used their first chance and at 11:02 dropped the bomb from the B-29. The bomb's explosion was reduced because of the surrounding mountains contained the blast.
A great towering mushroom effect could be seen going higher and higher and reaching into the stratosphere.
The Manhattan Project was a top-secret military project started in 1942 to produce the first nuclear weapon. The U.S. wanted to create this weapon to use against Nazi Germany when we thought they were producing one. If the Germans had one, the U.S. had to have one for retaliation if necessary. Scientists including Albert Einstein and Enrico Fermi participated in the Manhattan Project and helped with the production. Robert Oppenheimer was one of the people put in charge. They were the ones who recruited the best scientists. 3 locations were used in the project throughout the United States. Uranium-235 was produced in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, weapons-grade uranium in Hanford, Washington, and the assembling of the weapons took place in Los Alamos, New Mexico. A nuclear bomb works by 2 pieces of uranium being brought together, which triggers a chain reaction. This continues until the energy accumulated is so immense that the bomb literally blows itself apart. The Trinity test was the first testing of a plutonium bomb named Gadget. This was held in Alamogordo, New Mexico. This gave scientists very helpful information on what a bomb of that nature can do. The bomb at Hiroshima was dropped from a B-29 superfortress called the Enola Gay, named after Captain Paul Tibbets' mother. The location was chosen by General Carl Spaatz. The crew of 12 men took off from Tinian in the Mariana Islands located south of Japan at 2:45 a.m. At 8:15 in the morning, they aimed to their target and released the bomb at an altitude of 26,000 feet. 2 planes escorted the Enola Gay when it dropped the 15-kiloton bomb. Before the bomb was dropped, Japanese radar picked up the 3 planes, but they called off the air raid signal because there were not enough planes to have a threat. The Japanese government and other people that did not get any effects of the bomb didn't know of the bombing until the Japanese Broadcasting Corporation noticed that Hiroshima was off the air. The Tokyo Railroad also tried telegraphing, but nothing north of Hiroshima was working. Eventually, news got in that a terrible explosion occurred. Debate of whether Japan should surrender or not continued until 2 a.m. The Fat Man was different from the Little Boy because it used the implosion method instead of the gun-type method. The crew of the boxcar plane got ready for takeoff at 3:40 a.m. at Tinian. Last minute, a fuel pump went out, making 800 gallons of aviation fuel useless and adding more weight. When they were flying above Kokura, the target, they were running out of fuel and there wasn't any opening in the clouds. Because of this, Captain Sweeney had to move on to a secondary target, which was Nagasaki. When the bomb was dropped at 28,900 feet in the air, it missed its original target by 3 miles. It was aimed for a commercial area rather than an industrial area. The scorching heat of the blast killed hundreds of thousands and left some severely injured and burned. The closer to the epicenter of the bomb you stood, the more likely your body would just disappear from the intense heat. One witness was a 15-year-old schoolgirl. She was in class when the air raid alarms went off. The teacher told everyone to go to the shelter, and nobody listened except for the girl. When she got outside, she saw the B-29, not usually known for bombing. When she was standing at the entrance of the shelter, the bomb hit. She could only see a second, but when she did, she saw other girls' uniforms on fire, and them dying, one by one. The injuries of hundreds of thousands of Japanese and some American POWs caused some long-term effects, including radiation sickness, genetic and chromosome injury, and even mental trauma. Children that weren't born yet sometimes had cases of stunted growth and even mental retardation. The amount of people who survived and are still alive is diminishing because of old age. Most of the radiation was caused by harmful gamma rays along with alpha and beta particles. After much debating in Japan, the government finally compromised. On September 2, 1945, the head of government signed the official document to surrender on the U.S. aircraft carrier Missouri. World War II was now over. Since the bombing, many countries decided to start producing nuclear weapons to put in their military arsenal. The bombings were revolutionary because it changed the way bombs were looked at. In the past, tons of bombs were used to take out small areas. Many planes were used in the process in traditional bombings, while in this case, only a total of 2 were used, the Enola Gay and the boxcar. The power of bombs also changed immensely. One atomic bomb could take out up to 5 square miles depending on the nuclear power, and it could also leave radiation for many years to come. The reaction of Japan after the first bombing wasn't expected. The US thought for sure that the Japanese would surrender because of the mass damage it did to the country. From then on, countries wanted to have the same power. There has been a race on nuclear power ever since. Many new nuclear weapons were built after, including smaller portable ones that soldiers could carry with them on the battlefield, and also bigger ones. More advanced designs have been constructed throughout the years. Because of this so-called race to have power, countries are now questioning if they really need this power because it creates problems and tensions with other countries that don't have these types of weapons. Over the past years, the US has started to dismantle the amount of weapons we have in our nuclear arsenal. What was once power now becomes a political battle because of the cost of dealing with them and the environmental impact of dismantling them and disposing of the waste. As you can see, the United States' use of the atomic bomb during World War II caused drastic reactions.